My name is Juliet Anderson. I'm 29 years old. 14 days before my wedding, my own father looked my fiancée dead in the eyes and said, "She's a liar. Always has been. She had a bastard child at 18 and tried to trap a man with it." My mother leaned in with venom and hissed, "Don't let this whore trap you too. She abandoned her own daughter like trash. She's rotten to the core." I sat there at the table, silent, while the two people who were supposed to love me tore my soul apart in front of the man I loved. I didn't defend myself. I didn't cry. I didn't run. Because what my parents didn't know was that my fiancé had already found her. He had spent the last 6 months quietly undoing everything they destroyed, and they had no idea she was walking into our rehearsal dinner. That night, everything they tried to bury came back to life, and everything they thought they controlled completely shattered. Before I go any further, if this story is already hitting you in the chest, please take a second to like and subscribe, and drop your location plus local time in the comments below. I love knowing where in the world you're listening from right now. I'm Juliet. This is the story of how my own parents tried to destroy my life, and how the daughter they forced me to give away came back to save it. Now, let's go back 3 years earlier to a hospital corridor when I saw him again for the first time in 8 years. December 20th, 2024. Ben proposed on the rooftop of his Cambridge apartment. It was freezing. The Charles River looked like glass under the city lights. He'd set up candles in mason jars because he knew I'd think it was cheesy and love it anyway. When he got down on one knee, he said, "I lost 8 years with you. I don't want to lose 8 more days." I said yes before he finished the sentence. The ring was a vintage sapphire, his grandmother's. She died when he was 12. He told me once that she was the only person in his family who understood him. "Family heirloom for the family we're building," he said. I should have known my parents would find a way to poison it. We set the wedding for March 29th, 2026. Old South Church for the ceremony, the Fairmont Copley for the reception. Classic Boston wedding. I sent out 128 invitations. My mother called the day after I mailed them. "White roses are so common, Juliet. What will the church ladies think?" I'd picked white roses because they were simple, because they didn't scream for attention, because I wanted the day to be about Ben and me, not about impressing Patricia Anderson's church friends. But I didn't say that. I just said, "I like white roses, Mom." She sighed like I'd personally disappointed her. "Well, it's your wedding," that phrase. "It's your wedding." She made it sound like a threat. Ben's family was different. His parents drove down from Vermont the week after we got engaged. His mother cried and hugged me for a full minute. His father shook Ben's hand and said, "You picked a good one, son." His sister Carolyn pulled me aside in the kitchen and said, "I'm so glad he found you again. He was lost without you." I didn't know what to say to that, because I'd been lost too. I handled most of the wedding planning alone. My mother offered to help, then criticized every choice. The venue was too modern, the menu was too simple, the invitations were too plain. I kept a seating chart on my desk. I must have revised it 20 times. Every version, I moved my parents' table farther from the head table. Final version, table 8, near the exit. I told myself it was just wedding stress, normal mother-daughter tension. I was wrong. Early March, my best friend Claire cornered me in the hospital break room. Claire's a nurse too, pediatrics. She's known me since nursing school. She knows everything. She set down her coffee and said, "Your mom's been asking weird questions about you." "What kind of questions?" "How long have you and Ben been together? Have you dated much since nursing school? Does Ben know your history?" My stomach dropped. She said that? The history part? Not in those words. But she was fishing, Jules. Hard. I stared at my lukewarm tea. "She doesn't know about Lily." She can't. Claire's expression said otherwise. Maybe you should tell her before she finds out another way. There's nothing to find. Closed adoption means closed. No one knows where Lily is. Not even me. I believed that when I said it. 2 days later, my phone rang. It was my mother. "We need to talk about the wedding," she said. Her voice had that sugar-coated edge. "And about Benjamin." "What about him?" "We barely know him, sweetheart. Why don't you both come to dinner? Saturday, 6 o'clock. I'm making pot roast." It wasn't a request. It was a command wrapped in pleasantries. I almost said no. But refusing would have caused a scene. A guilt trip. Weeks of passive-aggressive comments. So I said yes. Ben was grocery shopping when she called. When he got back, I told him about the dinner invitation. His face didn't change. He just put his hand on my shoulder and said, "We'll go together." I hung up with a feeling I couldn't name. It felt like walking toward a trap I could see but couldn't avoid. Ben said we'd face it together. He had no idea what my parents were planning, but honestly, neither did they. A word about Grace Community Church. It's not what you'd expect when you hear New England church family drama. Grace isn't fire and brimstone evangelical. It's Episcopal. Progressive liturgy. Rainbow flags out front. Refugee sponsorship programs. The kind of place that believes in compassion over judgment, questions over certainty. My parents are relics. Old guard members who've been there 40 years, back when the church was more conservative. They stayed because of inertia, not because they agreed with the current direction. Most of the congregation now is young families, social workers, teachers, people who choose grace over shame. That distinction would matter later. Because when my parents tried to weaponize church opinion against me, they'd forget. This wasn't their church anymore. To understand what happened at that dinner, you need to understand what they were trying to protect. What they'd been hiding for 8 years. Fall 2013. I was 16, a junior at St. Catherine's. Ben was 18, a senior. We met in the library. He was sketching building designs for his architecture portfolio. I was supposed to be studying for calculus. I asked what he was drawing. He showed me. A house with wraparound porch, big windows, trees. "Future project," he said. "College assignment?" "No, someday project, when I have a family." He gave me that sketch on my 17th birthday. I still have it. It's in a box in my closet, folded along the same creases from when I used to carry it everywhere. We dated for 2 years. He went to MIT for architecture. I was planning on pre-med at Boston College. My mother tolerated the relationship. Barely. "He's too old for you, Juliet." 2 years isn't that much. But to her, it was proof I was making bad decisions. We were careful. We thought we were. December 2016, I was 18, freshman year at BC. I missed my period. I took the test alone in my dorm bathroom. 2 lines. Positive. I stared at it for 20 minutes. I should have told Ben first. But I was scared. And stupid. And I thought my mother would help me figure it out. So I drove home that weekend and told her. I was crying. I said, "Mom, I'm pregnant. I don't know what to do." She didn't hug me, didn't ask if I was okay. Just said, very quietly, "You're going to fix this." Quietly. I knew what she meant. "I'm not getting an abortion." Her face went cold. "Then we'll handle it another way." That's when everything changed. That's when they took control. January 2017. My parents found out I was 2 months along. They pulled me out of Boston College, told the school I was taking medical leave for health issues. I spent the next 8 months locked in their house in Wellesley, technically homeschooled. Actually just sitting in my childhood bedroom, feeling her move inside me, trying to imagine a way out that didn't exist. They cut off all contact with Ben. Used my email to send him a breakup message. I think we should break up. This isn't working. He called. My mother answered my phone, told him I didn't want to talk to him, that I needed space. He tried for 2 weeks. Then he stopped. I wanted to run. Every single day I planned it. But I was 18, pregnant, with no money and nowhere to go. My father made it clear. If you contact him, we cut you off. No college, no car, no phone. You'll have nothing. So I stayed, and I let them plan my daughter's disappearance. August 13th, 2017, 3:42 in the morning, Newton Wellesley Hospital. Labor took 16 hours. My mother and father were there. So was the adoption social worker, a woman in a gray suit with a clipboard and a sympathetic smile that didn't reach her eyes. I gave birth to a baby girl, 6 pounds, 8 ounces, dark hair, perfect. I asked to hold her. My mother said, "It's better if you don't. Clean break." The social worker nodded. "It's easier this way." But there was a nurse. Young, maybe 25. She looked at me, then at the baby, then back at me. She said, "I can give you a couple minutes." She placed my daughter on my chest. 90 seconds. That's all I got. I tried to memorize everything. The weight of her, the warmth. She had a tiny birthmark on her left shoulder, shaped like a crescent moon. I whispered, "I'm so sorry." Then my mother said, "That's enough." The nurse took her away. I was sobbing. Couldn't stop. Couldn't breathe. I asked, "What's her name?" "Please just tell me her name." The social worker said, "The adoptive family will name her." They offered me something to help me sleep. A sedative. I was so broken I said yes. When I woke up 6 hours later, she was already gone. In someone else's arms. In someone else's home. With someone else's name. And I didn't even get to say goodbye. August 14th, 2017. I signed the relinquishment papers. Closed adoption. No contact, no information, no updates. Ever. My mother stood over me while I signed. "You'll thank us when you're older," she said. I went home, locked myself in my room for 3 weeks. Depression hit like a freight train. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't think about anything except those 90 seconds. My parents acted like it never happened. My mother converted the nursery we'd set up into a guest room within a week. "No point dwelling," she said. I started therapy in October 2017. My therapist was kind, patient. She told me, "You experienced a traumatic loss. Grief doesn't have a timeline." I said, "But I chose this, didn't I?" She looked at me for a long time. Then she said, "Did you?" Every August 13th for the next 8 years, I called in sick to work, stayed in bed, counted the hours since I'd last held her, which was 90 seconds. My parents never asked why I was sick on August 13th every year. They knew. And on year 8, the day I thought would destroy me like all the others, Ben walked back into my life. I switched to nursing school in 2018, Simmons University. I couldn't save my daughter. Maybe I could save someone else's. Graduated in May 2021. Started at Children's Hospital Boston a month later. Pediatric unit. Every baby I held was a reminder. My therapist said that was either self-punishment or an attempt at healing. Maybe both. I kept minimal contact with my parents. Holidays only. Surface-level conversation. We never talked about what happened. But I thought about her every day. I built a life that looked normal from the outside. Job, apartment in Cambridge, friends, therapy. I even dated a few times. Nothing serious, but every August 13th, I disappeared. The ritual was always the same. I'd drive to the Newton Wellesley Hospital parking lot. Park in the same spot where my parents parked that night. And I'd sit there. I'd count the years. First birthday, second, fifth. I'd wonder, what does she look like? Does she know she's adopted? Does she think about me? August 13th, 2022. I sat in that parking lot and whispered, "You're 5 today. Do you like kindergarten? Do you have my eyes?" No one answered. Claire asked me once why I didn't try to find her. I said, "Closed adoption means she doesn't want to be found." I was wrong about that too. In my apartment, I kept a small box in the back of my closet. Inside were 8 birthday cards, one for each year. I'd write them on August 13th, seal the envelope, and put them in the box. I never sent them. There was no address to send them to. But I wrote them anyway. While I was grieving, Ben was living his own version of hell. I didn't know this at the time. He told me later. He finished MIT in 2020, started an architecture firm with a college friend, took on projects around Boston. He dated a few people. Nothing stuck. He told me later, "Every relationship I tried felt like replacing you. I couldn't do it." In his sketchbook from 2018, there are pages and pages of house designs. All of them have the same detail: a nursery facing east, labeled "for morning light." He didn't know why he kept drawing it. 2022. Ben's firm got a contract to design an expansion for Children's Hospital Boston, new pediatric wing. He'd be on site for measurements, meetings with hospital admin. Pure coincidence. March 15th, 2023. I was doing rounds on the 4th floor. An administrator walked in with an architect to measure the space for the expansion. The architect turned around, and I saw him. 8 years. He looked older, sharper, but it was him. We made eye contact. Time stopped. The administrator said, "Juliet Anderson, this is Benjamin Foster from Foster and Holmes Architecture. Benjamin, this is Juliet, one of our pediatric nurses." Ben said, "Actually, we know each other." I couldn't speak. He asked, "Coffee? Please?" An hour later, we were sitting in the hospital cafeteria. 2 coffees getting cold on the table between us. We talked for 3 hours. He said, "I never stopped thinking about you, and I never understood why you left." I told him the truth. Most of it. I told him my parents forced us apart, that I was pregnant when they separated us, that I had a daughter, born August 2017, given up for adoption. What I didn't tell him, what I genuinely believed, was that the baby was his. The timeline was close. We'd broken up in January. I thought maybe I'd gotten pregnant right after we split. With someone else. In my grief. It didn't make sense. But trauma doesn't make sense. I was wrong. But I wouldn't know that for 2 more years. April through December 2023. We started dating again. Slow. Careful. Both of us wounded in different ways. He asked about my daughter often. "Do you know where she is?" "Closed adoption. I have no information." "Would you want to find her?" "Every single day, but I don't have the right." We fell in love again. Deeper this time, because we knew what losing each other felt like. In November 2023, Ben started coming to therapy with me. Couples counseling. The therapist specialized in adoption trauma. Ben listened, asked questions, took notes. I thought he was just trying to understand me. I didn't realize he was building a plan. December 20th, 2024. The proposal. The rooftop. The sapphire ring. That night, after I said yes, I told him something I should have said earlier. "There's something else," I said. "About the pregnancy. The timing." He waited. I got pregnant right around when we broke up. December 2016. And I've always assumed it was someone after you. A rebound. I was so messed up, I don't even remember clearly. I should have told you before you proposed. Ben went quiet for a long time. Then he asked, "Is there any chance it could be mine?" I thought about it. I don't know. Maybe. The timeline overlaps. His face changed. Not anger. Determination. If she's mine, he said. If our daughter is out there. I need to know. But we can't. Closed adoption means there are ways. I told him to let it go. That we'd never find her. That it was better not to hope. 3 weeks later, he ordered a 23andMe kit. January 2025. Ben did the DNA test. He told me it was for ancestry. I want to know if I'm actually Scottish like my dad claims. I didn't think much of it. Results came back in February. Standard European heritage breakdown. Norwegian, Irish, some German. No close family matches. Ben stared at the screen for a long time. Then he said, "Nothing." I said, "I told you. She's probably not even in the system." He nodded, but I could see the disappointment. What I didn't know was that DNA databases update constantly. When new people join, they're matched against everyone already in the system. And 6 months later, everything changed. August 2025. A couple in Brookline, Jennifer and Michael Walsh, were having a conversation about their 8-year-old daughter. Jennifer's a pediatrician. Michael's a high school history teacher. They'd adopted their daughter as a newborn. Always been open with her about it. At her last checkup, the doctor asked about family cardiac history. Jennifer said, "Unknown. She's adopted." The doctor nodded. "You might consider a genetic test, just for medical records." That evening, Jennifer mentioned it to Michael. Dr. Chen asked about cardiac history again. "I hate saying unknown." Michael said, "What about one of those DNA tests? 23andMe? Worst case, we learn her ancestry. Best case, we get some medical data." They ordered the kit in late August. Lily, that's her name, thought it was fun. She spit in the tube, mailed it off, forgot about it. September 3rd, 2025. The results came back. The system immediately flagged a match. Close family match. Benjamin Foster. Relationship. Possible father. Jennifer and Michael stared at the screen. The name meant nothing to them, but the age, 31, and location, Massachusetts, matched the timeline. They realized this might be Lily's biological father. At the exact same time, on the other side of Boston, Ben's phone buzzed. New email from 23 and me. "You have a new close family match." He opened the app. Match level, close family, possible daughter. Name, Lily W. Parent managed account. Age, 8. Location, Massachusetts. Ben told me later. I stared at that notification for an hour. Lily, born August 2017, Massachusetts. It had to be her. It had to be our daughter. But he didn't tell me immediately. He needed to be absolutely sure. Because raising my hope and being wrong would destroy me. So he did what Ben does. He made a plan. September 4th, 2025. Ben hired a private investigator. The PI was a former Boston police detective who specialized in adoption reunions. Discreet, professional. Knew how to use public records without crossing legal lines. Ben gave him the information from 23, and me, Lily W., age 8, Massachusetts. The PI worked fast. Property records in Brookline showed a Jennifer Walsh, age 43, pediatrician, and Michael Walsh, age 45, high school teacher. Dependent child, female, age 8. School enrollment records in Massachusetts are public. Cross-reference with the address. Lily Walsh, 3rd grade, Brookline Elementary. The school website had class photos posted from the previous year. 2nd grade. Front row, 3rd from the left. Purple shirt, dark curls, gap-toothed smile. The PI sent Ben the report. 23 pages. The photo was on page 1. Ben told me later. The photo showed a little girl with dark curls and my smile and your eyes, and I knew, beyond any doubt, she was ours. The question was, what now? September 21st, 2025. Ben sat me down in his apartment. Serious face. Gentle voice. I found her, he said. I thought he was joking. Found who? He showed me his phone, the 23andMe match, the PI report, the photo. I collapsed. I don't remember the next hour clearly. I know I cried. I know Ben held me. I know I kept saying, how? How is this possible? Ben explained the DNA test, the match, the investigation, and then he said, Juliet, the match says I'm her father, not someone else. Me. That broke me all over again, because it meant I'd lost 8 years not just with my daughter, but with the father of my daughter, the man I loved, the man who would have fought for us if he'd known. October 2025, Ben hired a family law attorney, Helen Strickland, specialist in adoption cases. We weren't trying to take back Lily. That's not how it works. We were trying to establish contact to see if the adoptive family would be open to communication. Massachusetts law allows birth parent contact if the adoptive parents consent. If they refuse, we'd have no legal recourse. The attorney sent a formal letter to Jennifer and Michael Walsh. The letter said, I represent Juliet Anderson and Benjamin Foster, the biological parents of Lily Elizabeth Walsh, DOB August 13th, 2017. My clients recently became aware of their genetic relationship to Lily through DNA testing. They are seeking to establish contact with Lily if the family is open to such communication. This is not a legal challenge to the adoption. This is a request for voluntary reconnection. We waited 3 weeks. No response. I started to accept that maybe closed meant closed. Then Jennifer Walsh called the attorney back. November 2025. Helen put the call on speakerphone. Ben and I sat in her office, holding hands, barely breathing. Jennifer's voice was warm, kind. I got your letter. I want you to know, Michael and I have always wanted Lily to know her birth parents. We tried to maintain contact after the adoption, but we were told the birth mother wanted no contact. A clean break. My blood went cold. Helen asked, Who told you that? The adoption agency. They said they'd reached out on our behalf, but Juliet had requested no further communication. I'd never said that. My parents had. Jennifer continued, Lily asks about her birth mother every year on her birthday. We've told her we'd help her find you when she was ready. We had no idea you were looking too. Ben and I were both crying. Jennifer said, We're not threatened by you. Lily's lucky to have so many people who love her. We'd be honored to arrange a meeting. We set it up for February, supervised by a family therapist. 1 hour. Walsh Family Home in Brookline. Lily was told ahead of time. Your birth parents want to meet you. She said yes, immediately. December 2025. The Walsh family started sending us emails through the attorney, photos of Lily, stories about her. She loves art, plays violin, wants to be a veterinarian. She's in 3rd grade. Her favorite color is purple. Jennifer sent a scanned drawing Lily had made the year before. It was a family portrait. 2 adults labeled Mom Jennifer and Dad Michael. A little girl in the middle labeled me. And in the background, 2 shadowy figures labeled with question marks. Jennifer wrote, Lily drew this last year. She imagined you with long brown hair and kind eyes. She was remarkably close. I stared at that drawing for an hour. She'd been thinking about me. All those years I thought I had no right to grieve. She'd been grieving too. And she was 8 years old. We circled February 14th on the calendar. Valentine's Day. Symbolic. I asked Ben, what if she hates me? What if she blames me for giving her up? He said, then we'll show her it wasn't your choice. We'll show her everything. I didn't know he meant that literally. February 14th, 2026. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The Walsh house is a Victorian in Brookline. Painted blue. Flower boxes in the windows. Lily's artwork taped to the refrigerator. Jennifer and Michael greeted us at the door. They looked exactly like their photos. Kind faces, warm handshakes. The family therapist was already there, a woman named Dr. Reeves. She explained the ground rules. Let Lily set the pace. If she wants to hug, great. If not, that's okay too. This is her story as much as yours. Then Lily walked in. She was small, 8 years old, dark curls, wearing a purple dress. She looked at me. I looked at her. I couldn't breathe. She said, "Are you Juliet?" "Not Mom, just Juliet." I nodded. My voice was stuck somewhere in my chest. She said, "I've been waiting to meet you." She was holding a photo album, construction paper, glitter, stick-on letters that said, "Lily's Life." "I made this," she said. "It's pictures of me growing up, so you can see what you missed." Every page was a punch to the chest. Lily at 6 months, first birthday, first day of kindergarten, violin recital, art show. She narrated each photo. Matter of fact, not trying to hurt me, just showing me her life. When she finished, she looked at me and asked, "Did you want to keep me?" The question broke me. "Yes," I said. "I wanted to keep you more than anything, but I was 18, and my parents, your biological grandparents, said I couldn't. They said you'd have a better life with another family, so I listened, and I've regretted it every single day since." She processed this. Then she asked, "Then why didn't you come find me?" Ben spoke up. "Because we didn't know how. Until now." Lily looked at both of us. "So you're like my original parents?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Cool. Can I show you my room?" Her bedroom was painted sky blue, stars on the ceiling, violin in the corner, art table covered in drawings. One drawing caught my eye, the family portrait with the shadow figures. Lily saw me looking at it. "I drew that last year. I didn't know what you looked like, so I just made shadows. But now I can finish it." She pulled out markers, started adding features to the shadow figures. She drew me with long brown hair, a smile. She drew Ben tall, with glasses even though he doesn't wear them. She labeled us Juliet and Ben, not Mom and Dad, just our names. And that was okay, because we hadn't earned those titles yet. After Lily went to practice violin in the next room, Jennifer and Michael sat down with us. Jennifer said, "We're not threatened by you. Lily's lucky to have 4 parents who love her." Michael said, "We've always believed adoption doesn't mean someone didn't want you. It means more people love you." We agreed to a plan: weekly visits, gradual integration, build the relationship slowly. Before we left, Lily made us pinky promise to come back next week. Driving home, I felt lighter than I had in 8 years. We'd found her. She was healthy, happy, loved. We were building something. And then I remembered. My parents still had no idea. And our wedding was 6 weeks away. We visited Lily 3 times before everything fell apart. February 21st, February 28th, March 7th. Each visit, she opened up a little more, showed us school projects, played violin for us, asked questions about family medical history. "Do I get my curly hair from you?" she asked me. "Yes," I said. "And your dad's smile." By the 3rd visit, she hugged me goodbye, quick, almost shy, but real. I cried in the car after. On March 7th, Lily asked, "Jennifer said you're getting married soon. Can I come?" Ben had the wedding invitation in his jacket pocket. He'd been planning to ask the Walsh family to bring her. That night we discussed whether to tell my parents. "Do we tell them before the wedding?" I asked. "Or do we just let them find out?" Ben said, "We should protect Lily from their reaction. Maybe we wait until after." I agreed. That was a mistake. February 28th, 2026, Friday afternoon, around 3 o'clock. My mother was driving through Brookline to visit a friend. She stopped at a red light, and she saw him, Ben, walking with a little girl, holding her hand. My mother's heart stopped. The girl looked exactly like me at age 8. Dark curls, same walk. Patricia followed them, watched Ben drop the girl off at a house on Stedman Street. She wrote down the address, spent the next 24 hours doing research, property records, social media, adoption registries. By Saturday morning, she knew everything. March 1st, 2026, 9 in the morning. My apartment. Ben was out grocery shopping. Someone knocked on my door. Loud, insistent. I opened it. My parents. They pushed past me into the apartment. My mother said, "We need to talk about the child." "What child?" "Don't lie to us, Juliet. We saw Benjamin with her." My father said, "You found her, after we explicitly told you the adoption was final." I said, "You told me a lot of things that weren't true." My mother's face went red. "We gave you a chance to move on with your life, and this is how you repay us? By dragging up the past right before your wedding?" I was gripping my coffee mug so hard it cracked. I didn't notice until later. I said, "Get out." They didn't move. My mother said, "If you don't end this immediately, we'll tell Benjamin the truth about you. He already knows." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Does he know you have no idea who the father is?" The lie came so easily to her. I said, "Ben is the father. 23 and me proved it." Her face went white. My father said, "Even if that's true, and I doubt it, that child is gone. Legally adopted. You have no claim." I said, "We're not trying to take her. We're trying to be part of her life. Something you prevented for 8 years." My mother's voice shook. "If you pursue this, you'll destroy your relationship with us." I said, "Good." They left. But I knew it wasn't over. March 1st through March 13th, 2 weeks of hell. My parents tried everything. Threats. "We'll tell the church you're harassing the adoptive family." Guilt. "After everything we've done for you." Bribery. "We'll pay for a European honeymoon if you stop this nonsense." Emotional manipulation. "You'll confuse that poor child." Nothing worked. I blocked their number on March 13th. That's when they decided to go nuclear. They'd tell Ben. Assume he didn't know. He'd leave me. Wedding canceled. Problem solved. March 12th. The last phone call before I blocked them. My mother said, "If you won't listen to reason, then Benjamin deserves to know the truth about who he's marrying." I said, "He knows everything. Unlike you, we believe in honesty." March 8th. A formal dinner invitation arrived in the mail. It had been sent 3 weeks earlier, before the blow-up. Patricia and George had planned this intervention dinner before they even knew about the Lily reunion. Now it was their stage. I knew it was a trap, but refusing would cause an even bigger scene. Ben said, "Let them try. I've got everything documented." I asked, "What if they have some proof I don't know about? Some lie I can't disprove?" He opened a folder on his phone, labeled Lily. Inside, 23 and me results, emails with the Walsh family, therapist notes, photos with Lily, legal timeline, everything. "Then we'll disprove it together," he said. March 14th arrived, 14 days before the wedding. We drove to my parents' house in Wellesley. Ben brought his phone. I brought my engagement ring, because I wasn't sure I'd still be wearing it by the end of the night. March 14th, 2026, 5:55 p.m. The Anderson house is a large colonial, immaculate lawn. Church directories stacked on the side table in the foyer. My mother greeted us at the door. Too sweet. All smiles. Benjamin, you look so handsome. Juliet so lucky. The translation was clear. You could do better. The dining room was set formally. Good china. Pot roast in the center of the table, exactly as promised. There were 4 place settings. I asked, "Who else is coming?" My mother said, "Just family." The 4th chair stayed empty. I thought it was decorative, symbolic of something. It wasn't. We sat down. My father said grace. It was long, pointed, about honesty and truth in marriage. Then my mother served the pot roast. And then, as I was lifting my fork to take the first bite, my father looked at Ben and said, "There's something you need to know about Juliet before you marry her." Pause. Juliet had a baby, 8 years ago. She gave it up for adoption and never told you. Ben set down his fork. Very calmly he said, "I know." My mother blinked, thrown. "You know?" "Yes. Juliet told me over a year ago." My father recovered quickly. His voice got louder, sharper. "Did she tell you she has no idea who the father is? That she was running around with multiple men after you broke up? And the pregnancy could have been anyone's?" I started to stand. "That's not—" My mother cut me off. Sharp. Cold. "Sit. Down, Juliet. The adults are talking." I sat. I stayed silent. My hands were clenched under the table. Ben's hand covered mine. My father continued. "She tried to trap some other man with that bastard baby. When he refused to marry her, she gave it away like garbage." Ben set down his fork. He looked my father in the eye and said very calmly, "Actually, I know exactly who the father is." Pause. "And your daughter isn't a liar. You are." The room went silent. My father said, "What are you talking about?" Ben said, "I'm the father. 23 and me confirmed it 6 months ago." My mother's face went white. My father said, "That's impossible. The timeline." Ben interrupted. "August 2017. Juliet and I were together in December 2016. You separated us in January 2017 when she was 2 months pregnant. You forced a closed adoption to hide your shame. Should I continue?" My mother's voice shook. "You have no right to—" "No right. To what?" Ben said. "Know my own daughter? Interesting perspective for grandparents." My father stood up. "Even if you are the father, which I doubt, that child is gone. Legally adopted. You have no claim." Ben said, "Actually, we've been in contact with her for 6 weeks." My mother's voice came out strangled. "You've what?" Ben picked up his phone, set it on the table, screen facing up. "Her name is Lily," he said. "Lily Elizabeth Walsh. She lives in Brookline with Jennifer and Michael Walsh. Wonderful people who actually love her. And she knows we're her biological parents." He opened a photo, showed it to them. The photo was from March 7th. Lily, me, and Ben, all smiling. Lily holding a sign that said, "See you at the rehearsal dinner." My mother leaned in. Her voice dripped venom. "Don't let this whore trap you too. She abandoned her own daughter like trash. She's rotten to the core." Ben's voice stayed calm, cold. "She didn't abandon anyone. You stole her daughter. And you're about to lose your own." My mother stood up, shaking with rage. "If you continue this circus, we will not attend your wedding. We will tell everyone at church what kind of woman she really is. We will make sure everyone knows what you've done." Ben stood too. He pulled up a folder on his phone. "Let me show you what we have," he said. 23andMe results proving paternity. Emails with the Walsh family, who, by the way, tried to contact Juliet for years, but you blocked them. Therapist notes from Juliet's trauma treatment, hospital records showing she tried to refuse the adoption, legal timelines showing you rushed the process, and testimony from Jennifer Walsh about letters you intercepted. My father's voice was tight. You've been building a case against us. No, Ben said. We've been protecting Lily from you. There's a difference. My mother said, if that child shows up at your wedding, we will stand up and object during the ceremony. I stood up. The engagement ring was still on my finger. I looked at my mother and said, then you won't be invited to the ceremony. She said, you can't uninvite your own parents. I said, watch me. My mother tried one last card. Fine. Have your reunion. But I'm calling the Walsh family tonight. I'll tell them you're unstable, that you're harassing them. Ben interrupted. Go ahead. They already know our story, the real one, including your role in forcing the adoption. We have documentation, and they have lawyers. My mother's voice cracked. You've been planning this. You've been... Ben said, we've been protecting our daughter. Something you should have done. I said, after tonight, you're not invited to the wedding, the rehearsal dinner, or anything else. You lost the right to be my parents when you stole my daughter. We left, drove in silence for 10 minutes. Then I said, they're not going to let this go quietly. Ben said, I know. That's why I invited them to the rehearsal dinner. I stared at him. You what? He explained. He'd sent the formal rehearsal dinner invitation 3 weeks ago, before this whole thing blew up. He knew they'd find out about Lily eventually. He wanted the confrontation to happen publicly, with witnesses, so they couldn't rewrite history later. Rehearsal dinner meant 40 guests, both families, friends, colleagues, church members, all the people who knew me as kind, honest, good. I asked, what if they make a scene? Ben said, then Lily will see exactly why we kept her away from them, and everyone else will see it too. March 14th to March 28th. 2 weeks. I blocked my parents' number, focused on the wedding, visited Lily twice more. She was excited about coming to the rehearsal dinner. Jennifer helped her pick out a white dress with a purple sash. So I matched the wedding colors, Lily said. I asked Ben, what if this backfires? What if it traumatizes her? He said, she's stronger than you think, and she deserves to know the truth about why her family looks the way it does. March 28th, 2026. 6 o'clock in the evening, the Fairmont Copley Plaza, private event room. We'd combined the rehearsal dinner with a welcome party for out-of-town guests. 40 people total. Ben's family from Vermont, my hospital colleagues, his architecture firm partners, college friends, 5 church members, the progressive ones who actually liked me, and the Walsh family, Jennifer, Michael, and Lily, seated at table 1 near the exit, so they could leave with Lily if things got ugly. My parents arrived at 6:15, late, making an entrance. Patricia wore a navy dress and pearls. George wore a suit. They looked like the respectable church-going couple everyone thought they were. Caroline, Ben's sister, leaned over and whispered, they actually came. You ready? I said, no, but let's do it anyway. Dinner started. The food was good. Salmon, roasted vegetables, conversations buzzed, speeches began. The best man told a story about Ben in college. The maid of honor, Claire, told a story about me from nursing school. Ben's father stood up, talked about finding your way back to love, about second chances. My parents sat stone-faced through all of it. Then Ben stood up. The room quieted. He said, most of you know that Juliet and I dated in high school. What you might not know is that we broke up for 8 years. We were separated by circumstances beyond our control. Family issues, miscommunication, bad timing. His eyes flicked to my parents. But 3 years ago, we found each other again. And this time, nothing was going to keep us apart. He looked at me. Juliet is the strongest person I've ever known. She's survived things that would break most people. And she's done it with grace and kindness that still amazes me. He paused. There's someone else who wants to say hi. He gestured to the door. The door opened. Jennifer Walsh walked in, holding the hand of a little girl in a white dress with a purple sash. Lily. The room went completely silent. Lily walked toward the head table. Her eyes were on me. My mother's face went chalk white. My father half stood, then sat back down. Lily reached me, smiled. Hi, she said. I'm Lily. Then she turned to face the room. Small voice, but clear. I'm Juliet and Ben's daughter. Well, biological daughter. I have 2 moms and 2 dads. It's kinda cool. Someone in the back asked, You have a daughter? Claire stood up. Yes. And it's a beautiful story. Let them tell it. Ben explained. Briefly, factually. 8 years ago, Juliet and I were separated. She was pregnant with my daughter, but I didn't know. Her family arranged a closed adoption. For 8 years, we thought we'd never see Lily again. Then 23andMe brought us together. Her adoptive parents, Jennifer and Michael, have been incredibly generous in letting us reconnect. Jennifer stood up, her hand on Lily's shoulder. Lily's lucky to have so many people who love her. We're honored to share her with Juliet and Ben. My mother stood up. Her voice shook. This is inappropriate. This child should not be here. Caroline, Ben's sister, said, Excuse me, who are you? My mother said, I'm Juliet's mother? Caroline said, The same mother who forced an 18-year-old to give up her baby? That mother? Patricia said, We did what was best for... Ben's father stood up. For who? Certainly not for Juliet. Or for Lily. The room was staring at my mother. No one was on her side. My father tried to pull Patricia toward the door. She shook him off. She turned to Lily and said, You don't belong here. Lily looked at her. Small, 8 years old, white dress. She said, Are you my grandma? Patricia said, No, I'm... Lily said, Juliet told me I have grandparents who didn't want me to exist. Is that you? Dead silence. Patricia couldn't answer. Lily continued, Juliet told me she wanted to keep me, but you wouldn't let her. Is that true? Patricia stammered. It's not that simple. Lily said, It sounds pretty simple. Ruth, an elderly church member, someone Patricia had known for 20 years, stood up. Patricia Anderson, she said, I've known you for 2 decades. I have never been more disappointed. One by one, people spoke up. A colleague from the hospital. Juliet is the most compassionate nurse I know. She deserves happiness. Ben's business partner. This family is beautiful. Anyone who can't see that can leave. Even church members, Patricia's own people, turned on her. Forcing your daughter to give up her baby? That's not what Jesus taught. Ruth said, Patricia, you need to leave. This is a celebration, and you're poisoning it. My mother grabbed my father's arm. She headed for the door. Stopped. Turned. Said, You'll regret this, Juliet. All of you will. And walked out. The door closed behind them. The room exhaled. Then someone started clapping. Then everyone. Standing ovation. Not for kicking out my parents. For Juliet's strength. For Ben's loyalty. For Lily's courage. For the Walsh family's generosity. Lily looked confused. Why are they clapping? I said, Because we're a family. She said, All of us? I said, All of us. She looked at me, shy, hopeful. Can I call you Mom? Or is that weird because I already have a mom? I was crying. You can call me whatever feels right. She thought about it. Okay. Mom Juliet. And Mom Jennifer. Like that. I held her hand. First time holding her hand without a therapist supervising, 8 years late. But here, the party continued. Lily met Ben's parents, her other grandparents. They cried, hugged her, gave her a teddy bear they'd been saving for 8 years, and the next day, we got married. March 29th, 2026, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Old South Church, Boston. 128 guests. Patricia and George were not among them. Lily was the flower girl. White dress, purple flowers. She walked down the aisle ahead of me. Ben cried when he saw us both. The ceremony was perfect. Our vows included the line, "I promise to always choose truth over comfort and love over fear." The pastor said, "Marriage isn't just about two people. It's about the family you build together." The camera panned to Lily, Jennifer, Michael, Ben's parents, all of them smiling. We took photos after, one with Lily between me and Ben, all three of us holding hands. That photo sits on our mantle now, next to the hospital Polaroid from 8 years ago, the only other photo I have of her. The reception was perfect. No drama, just joy. Patricia and George didn't try to crash. They disappeared completely. At the reception, we had our first dance. Then Lily, still in her flower girl dress, asked if she could join. We pulled her onto the dance floor. The photographer caught the moment. 3 of us, holding hands in a circle, all laughing.